Once upon a time, there was a little prince who lived in a planet scarcely any bigger than himself, and who had need of a friend. But that shouldn't surprise us at all, as we know full well that apart from the large planets such as Earth, Jupiter, Mars, and Venus, which have been given names, there are hundreds of others which are sometimes so small that it is difficult to see them through a telescope. So small was his planet that for a long time his only entertainment had been watching sunsets. "I am very fond of sunsets," the little prince once said. "One day I watched the sun setting 45 times, he added. "You know, when one is so terribly sad, one loves sunsets." Ah, little prince, what a sad little life you led. There had always been very simple flowers on the little prince's planet, with a single ring of petals occupying very little space and no trouble to anybody. They would appear one morning in the grass and fade away in the evening. But one day, from a seed blown from no one knew where, a new flower had come up. The little prince, in spite of the goodwill his love engendered towards her, came gradually to doubt her. He had taken words of no importance seriously and became very unhappy and decided to leave the planet. "Goodbye," he said to the flower. But she did not answer him. "Goodbye," he said again. The flower coughed, but it was not because she had a cold. "I've been silly," she whispered. "Please forgive me. Try to be happy." The little prince was surprised and just stood there, quite bewildered. Then she added, "Don't hang about so. It's so irritating. You have decided to leave. So leave." And the little prince took advantage of the migration of wild birds for his escape. The rose turned around, for she didn't want him to see her crying. She was a very proud flower. The little prince found himself in the neighborhood of the asteroids. So he started by visiting them to look for an occupation and to add to his knowledge. The first one was inhabited by a king. "Ah, here comes a subject," exclaimed the king when he spied the little prince. "Come a little closer so that I may see you better," said the king, inordinately proud of having someone to be king over at last. "It is contrary to etiquette to yawn in the presence of a king," said the monarch. "I forbid it."
I cannot help it," replied the little prince. "I have come on a long journey and I haven't slept at all."
"In which case," said the king, "I order you to yawn."
"You are frightening me. I cannot yawn anymore," said the little prince, blushing.
"Hum, replied the king.
"Sire, over what do you rule?"
"Over everything," replied the king very simply.
"And the stars obey?"
"Of course," said the king. "They obey immediately. I do not tolerate insubordination."
"I should like to see a sunset. Please, do me that kindness. Order the sun to set. One must demand of each and everyone what he or she is capable of. What about my sunset?"
"You shall have your sunset. It will be around. It will be this evening about 20 minutes to 8, and you shall see how well I am obeyed." The little prince yawned and bid the king goodbye. "Don't leave," said the king. "I'll make you a minister of justice."
"A minister of justice? But there is nobody here to judge," argued the little prince. "I really should be going. You could, for example, order me to leave. It seems to me that conditions are favorable."
As the king said nothing, the little prince took his leave.
"Grown-ups are very strange,"
said the little prince to himself. The next planet was inhabited by a drunkard. This visit was to be a very short one, but it affected the little prince with deep sadness.
What are you doing here?
He said to the drunkard, whom he found sitting silently in front of a collection of bottles, some empty and some full. "I'm drinking," answered the drunkard lugubriously.
Why are you drinking?
"In order to forget.
To forget what?
To forget that I am ashamed."
Ashamed of what?
"Ashamed of drinking," concluded the drunkard, withdrawing into total silence. And the little prince went away. Puzzled,
Grown-ups really are very, very odd.
he said to himself as he continued his journey. The third planet was inhabited by a conceited individual. "Aha! Here comes an admirer!" he exclaimed as from afar he caught sight of the little prince, for conceited men see all other men as admirers.
"Good morning," said the little prince. "You are wearing a funny kind of hat."
"It is a hat for salutes," the conceited man replied, "to raise when people acclaim me. Unfortunately, nobody ever comes this way."
"Indeed," said the little prince, who did not understand what the conceited man was talking about.
"Clap your hands!"
The little prince clapped his hands. The conceited man raised his hat in a modest salute. After 5 minutes of this exercise, the little prince grew tired. "And to make you lower your hat, what should one do?" he asked. But the conceited man didn't hear him. Conceited men only hear praise.
"Do you really admire me very much?"
"What does admire mean?"
"To admire means that you consider me the handsomest, the best dressed, the richest, and the most intelligent man of this planet."
"Okay, I admire you,"
said the little prince with a slight shrug of his shoulders.
"But why should that mean so much to you?"
And the little prince went away.
"Grown-ups are really very odd,"
he said to himself as he continued on his journey. The fourth planet belonged to a businesswoman. She was so busy that she didn't even look up when the little prince arrived.
"Good morning,"
the little prince said to her.
3 plus 2 make 5, 5 plus 7 make 12, 12 plus 3 make 15. Good morning. 26 plus 5 make 31. Ooh, then that makes 500,622,731. 500 million of what?
Eh? Are you still there? 500 million of... I don't remember. I have so much work. I'm a serious person. I don't amuse myself with balderdash.
501 million of what?
The little prince repeated. The businesswoman suddenly realized that there was no hope of being left in peace. Of the stars!
Oh, the stars.
Yes, the stars. Over 501 million of them. I am a serious person.
And what do you do with them?
Nothing. I own them.
How can one own stars?
I own the stars because nobody else before me thought of owning them.
And what do you do with them?
I manage them. After counting and recounting them, I put them in the bank.
Whatever does that mean?
It means that I write down the number on a piece of paper, then I put it in a drawer and lock it.
Quite amusing, thought the little prince, but an exercise of no real importance. I myself own a flower which I water every day,
he told the businesswoman.
I own 3 volcanoes which I clean out every week. It is good for my volcanoes and good for the flower I own. But you are of no use to the stars.
The businesswoman opened her mouth but found nothing to say, and the little prince went on his way.
Grown-ups are certainly absolutely extraordinary, he said to himself as he continued on his journey.
The next planet was inhabited by an old lady who wrote voluminous books.
Oh, look, here comes an explorer.
She cried out when she saw the little prince.
Where do you come from?
"What are you doing?" said the little prince, disregarding the question.
I am a geographer.
What is a geographer?
A geographer is a scholar who knows the location of all the seas, the rivers, the cities, the mountains, and the desert.
Now that is extremely interesting, said the little prince. Your planet must be very beautiful. Are there any oceans?
I have no way of knowing,
said the geographer.
Any mountains?
I really couldn't tell you that either,
said the geographer.
And cities and rivers and deserts?
I have no way of knowing that either,
said the geographer.
But you were a geographer.
Exactly,
said the geographer.
But I am not an explorer. The geographer is far too important to waste his time browsing around. He never leaves his office. But you've come a long way. You are an explorer. You must describe your planet to me.
Oh, where I live, said the little prince. It is not very interesting because it is so small. I have 3 volcanoes. 2 are active, and the 3rd is extinct. I also have a flower.
We don't record flowers,
said the geographer.
Flowers are ephemeral.
What does ephemeral mean?
It means in danger of early disappearance.
My flower is in danger of early disappearance. My flower is ephemeral,
the little prince said to himself.
And she has only 4 thorns with which to defend herself against the world. And I have left her all alone on my planet.
That was his first moment of regret of leaving his little planet. But he took courage once again and asked the geographer what place to visit next.
The planet Earth,
replied the geographer.
It has a good reputation.
And the little prince went away, thinking of his flower.